Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session on DonorDrive 102 training, record management, and reporting. Today, we'll be hearing from Paul Soud from DonorDrive. Make a note about any questions you might have as we go. We will direct you to the Discord channel at the end of the presentation. So I'll go ahead and pass it off to Paul right away.
Hey everybody, my name is Paul Soud. I'm a support specialist at DonorDrive, and I've been with the company since February. And so I'll be talking to you a little bit about how DonorDrive collects data from your participants, where we hold all of that information, and a lot of the ways that you can manipulate it and that you can put together reports that will make this bulk data that you'll have something that you can use to basically sort of do whatever with. So we'll start. I'll go through our agenda real quick. The first order of business is just logging into DonorDrive. And I know you guys have got a little bit of information on that, so we'll sort of breeze through that. Then I'll show you the event control panel and more in depth where this data lives in its raw form, different participants, different donations, different teams, etc. How you can go and get little individual records like that and just sort of see what people have enrolled for, who they've raised money from, get their address, whatever information you need to gather. And then we'll move over to the data exports area. And that'll be where you can put together a customized report, either one of the DonorDrive included ones, or you can actually sort of make your own and take all of that raw data and turn it into whatever sort of report you want, and all of the features that we offer that allow you to get down to a really granular level of detail if you'd like. So we'll start over on the event page here. You'll see Husky-thon, the event that we're working with. This is what the front end looks like. This is what people see when they visit the DonorDrive site externally. And then you might know already how to visit the admin, but you can just type in events.dancemarathon.com/admin. That'll take you here. You should be, if you haven't already, you will be receiving a DonorDrive login. And again, you may have already heard about all this, so we'll just go ahead and skip through. We are now in the back end of DonorDrive. Now, because I work for DonorDrive, when I click events and campaigns up here, and let it load, I have access to every Dance Marathon event. It should be a little bit of a smaller list for y'all. So Husky-thon, if I type in Husky here, we see all of them appear here. I'll go ahead and select the 2021 event. There are two options here that we are going to use. The first is view, and this takes you to the event insights screen, which we're not going to get really in depth into, but this has visualization of a lot of the money that you've raised and different graphs that break things down. And had I clicked the edit button back there, actually we can just go back and do that right now, it would take me to the event control panel. So we'll click edit on that event in the event control panel. This is sort of like the dashboard for DonorDrive. If you want to change the look and feel for your event, if you want to change the dates and times, all of that stuff all lives in here. And so if we were to go into event settings, you can change, for example, different forms that people use, when they're donating and stuff like that. But what we're really focused on right now are these tabs up here. So we'll start with the participants tab. For the 2021 event right now, we have 5 participants. Carmen Elliott and Haley Staples are both DonorDrive employees, so they'll be using these records for their own presentations. Then we've got these 3 here. We'll go ahead and we'll use Chris Burka as our sort of guinea pig here. Chris, if you're watching, we're going to be talking about you for a few minutes. So we can click on his record here. It'll show us what participant type he is, what his registration fee was, different things that he chose. If you have custom registration questions like t-shirt size, if you want to ask people if they want to sign up for a mailing list, all of that information is pulled in here, and so you can see what their answers are for that. If we wanted to move Chris to a different event, we could click the move button back there. We could select that event here. Any event that's live right now, we can go find and we can move him to. Or if we want to keep him in the same event, we can move him to a different participant type. If they signed up incorrectly, or if they've realized they want to change their type, we can do all of that right here. We can change what team he's on. People sign up for the wrong team all the time. It happens, and that stuff can be changed here, provided some of the conditions are met. We can change their fundraising goal, etc. We're not going to do any of that right now because I'm assuming that Chris enrolled correctly. And if he doesn't, again, you can change this. So back to his profile, his address, his phone number, his email, that's all in here. And then we can see what transactions have been associated with him, registration fees, donations people have made to his participant page. So if we want to see, okay, I want to know specifically who donated to Chris so far this year. I can click on, and as the year goes on, more and more results will be lined up in here. So right now, obviously, we've only got 5, but whereas there's 1 participant donation, sometimes people will be in here with hundreds. We can click on this donation. We can actually see who it's from. So this is from Chris to Chris, but if it were from somebody externally, their name would appear here. We can click on it. We can go look at their constituent record. All of this data is immediate. It's all linked together, and it's immediately accessible from a variety of different places. We can click on Chris's registrations. Give it just a moment, but this will show us all the events that Chris has signed up for. So not just this year's Husky-thon, it'll show us that he was in the 2020 Husky-thon, 2019, 2018. It'll go all the way back to every event that we have on DonorDrive that he has actually been involved in. Any personal campaigns that he's run, those will show up here. Contact notes, email, any other constituents that he's connected to, those will appear as well. And then actually back on his profile page, it'll show us the lifetime amount that he's raised. So in all of the events that he signed up for, he's raised almost $30,000. So that's pretty impressive, Chris. Now, obviously, if you're trying to draw conclusions from dozens and dozens and dozens of participants from one event, you don't have the time nor the desire to go in here, click on each person's profile, look at what each donation is, break down all that information independently, and then try to turn it into something. We have events with thousands of participants, and that is way too much data for you to want to handle on your own. So the reason that we've done it, the reason that we've created the reports tab is so that you don't have to do that. So here from the DonorDrive admin, well, either way, we can click reports up here, and this will bring you to the DonorDrive reports screen. So as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a little slow to load, but we have a few that are preloaded in here under general exports. These are the ones that are built into DonorDrive. You're gonna have them here no matter what, and they're just sort of boilerplate exports that provide a service that a lot of people are just interested in using. So the donations one, for example, will give you information on all of your donations, and everybody uses them. These are super common. We also allow you the ability to create custom exports. So if you have custom registration questions about t-shirt size, anything like that, whether somebody is participating in the event in memory of somebody else, you can actually add those questions to a data export. So we'll use the t-shirt size one as an example. If you have an event that's happening in the fall and you are saying, well, if you sign up before this point, you get a t-shirt, what's your size? The date in question passes, the sign up cutoff in question passes. You can run a report with all of those t-shirt sizes broken down specifically for you, so you can order the exact amount of t-shirts that you want. Oh, we need 75 mediums and 110 larges and 14 smalls. It's really easy to write a report based on just that. And that's the functionality that we try to give people, especially the t-shirt thing happens all the time. That's why I'm using it as an example. But now I'll show you how to get into these reports and to use them a little more to manipulate your data. So a good one right now would be participant registration. So we'll open this one up. And this is handy for any event, obviously, that takes participant registrations. There are a few older ones loaded in here. Anybody who's a DonorDrive admin or an admin for your organization can go in here, and provided their permissions allow it, they can actually create their own export profile that anybody else can then access. But we're going to create a new one for our purposes right now. So we're going to create a profile. We'll name the profile Participants 2021. You might want to name it something a little more specific, but obviously this is just for demonstration purposes. I generally recommend people name something that's concise, but that carries across the entire idea of what it's for. So this is where all of the columns that we allow are available. So different fields are going to populate in here based on what profile you're running. If we'd gone into the donations export, these would be different because there'd be different information accessible. So this is catered towards what type of export you choose. I always recommend event ID because that's just a useful bit of information to have. We can go event name, and then if this is participants who are registering, we could go participant email, participant first name, participant last name, whatever the registration fee was. We could do the participant's fundraising goal. You could add all of these fields if you wanted to. I recommend limiting it to the ones that you think you're going to use, because then you can just sort of get data overload. But we have a lot of options, as you see scrolling down, and there's all kinds of stuff here. If teams are a big factor in your event, you can choose what team they're on. You can choose what role they are on that team. If you want to know if they're a team captain, anything like that, this can all be sent over there. And let's see. No, we'll leave it for now. That's enough for now. Now, one of the tricks here is, as it is now, if you were to run a report with just this information, this would give you all of this data for every participant in every dance marathon event that we have. And obviously that's not really what you want. You want to limit it to your event, because otherwise it's going to give you thousands, millions, maybe even of results. And actually, I don't think that DonorDrive would let you process that many at once. So what we're going to do is add filters. We'll click the add filter button. And if we want to limit it to this year's Husky-thon, if you were to go back to it, and I'm not going to do it right now, but when you're in that event control panel, there's an event ID that is visible. So I have that event ID written down here. This year's event ID is 4020. So we're going to go field event ID is equal to 4020. And so if we run it like this, it would be all of that information for this year's Husky-thon event alone. But let's say that you want to run information on each Husky-thon for the past 3 years. We can do that too. You'll simply add the event ID filter again. You'll add equal to again. And actually, I jotted down the event IDs for the past 2 Husky-thons as well. You'll put 3488 and 3047. Now, here's the trick here, because as this is set up right now, you might think, well, is this going to take results from only people who are signed up for all 3? It would, but we offer an advanced filter option. So we'll click the blue button here, add advanced filter. Now, a quick note, this uses logic chains. And if you're a little confused about how to manipulate those and how to type them in, this green question mark right here has a bit of information on it. It'll tell you how to group them with parentheses, whether to use or and how to get them to interact with each other correctly. The one that we're running, though, is pretty simple. So we are going to go, you see these $1, $2, $3 designators? That is specific to each of these fields. So what we're going to type in is $1. You can see I've typed this in before, or $2, or $3. Basically, that's going to tell DonorDrive to pull results for people who are in this event, last year's event, or the event the year before. And so that'll get information from all of them rather than just somebody who is enrolled in all 3. And there are a lot of different fields that we can add in and a lot of filters that we can make interact. So if you wanted to say, like, okay, I want people who are in this year's event, but I want to do the date registered. Let's see, do we have one for that? Yeah, participant registration date. You want to know people who have registered since June 1st. Well, in our participant registration date is greater than or equal to, and we'll say June 1st. This will now pull, we'll remove these filters. We'll say 1 and 2. This will pull people who are registered in the event, the current event, and their registration date was later than June 1st. Now it's time to actually pull the report and to get this information. We'll scroll down. Is this profile private? It's yes by default, because especially with somebody like Dance Marathon, there are a lot of different people running a lot of reports all at the same time. And if all of their reports were constantly visible to everybody, it would be a lot to fish through to find your own. If, though, you know this is a report that other people want to access, you can just click, is this profile private, to no, and that means everybody will be able to see it. If it's just you and you're just running a one-off, we recommend keeping it private. If you need to, you can always go back and change this setting later. Now we'll hit save and download. It'll give you 2 file type choices, tab or CSV. Tab, that's just a text file, .txt. I don't find it as useful as CSV, but it depends on what you're working with. CSV is openable in Excel and in Numbers, so that's what we're going to choose here. And then when would you like to receive this download? Obviously, there's a now option, in which case we'd hit request download. It would take a minute or 2. Then you would get a link in your email saying that it's ready, or you can just hang out on the downloads page and it'll tell you that it's ready. or we can hit later. And this is one of my favorite features about this. So today, obviously, is the 26th. Let's say you decide that there's a report that you want to receive every Monday morning when you get to the office or whatever. We could say Monday the 29th. Let's choose a time, 9 a.m., recurring every 7 days. So you can tell DonorDrive, okay, every week I want to get in my inbox a report of people who have enrolled in my event, starting with people who enrolled on June 1st. When you get into the office on Monday, this report will be waiting for you. Then when you get into the office on July 5th or 6th, yeah, there we go. You'll have that report waiting for you then too, but it will update. So all of the people who enrolled after June 29th will still populate into this new report on July 6th because they still meet the conditions, and the report refreshes itself so that it keeps it up to date. And you can have up to 3, I believe, possibly 4 of these reports running contemporaneously. So you can get updated reports for 4 different topics every week, and they'll keep themselves updated. So that's a really handy feature. And it's a great way to basically set it and forget it. You set the report up to give you the information you want. It just gives it to you. You don't have to go in and type anything new. Once you set it up once, it just keeps running. So that's basically the extent of what we're going over for today. And there will be a question session, and we'll be happy to answer any more questions that you have about this stuff. But that's how you can find your data in DonorDrive and how you can turn your data into something useful.
Awesome. Thank you again for sharing today, Paul. This has been super useful for anybody trying to pull those reports. I know that happens quite frequently and can be confusing.
Yeah.
Once again, if you have any questions from today's session, please direct them to the Q&A section on Discord. And there is a specific channel just for DonorDrive, so make sure you put them in there. You can tag Paul in it or this session title, and they'll be sure to answer those right away. Otherwise, thank you for joining us today.